This podcast is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome back to Legend of the Bones. Following in the footsteps of giants, Legend of the Bones is a chimera. A mix of old-school tabletop RPG and dark fantasy storytelling. As its name might suggest, in Legend of the Bones the dice rule. There'll be no rerolls, no fudging the dice, no metacurrency. The roll of the bones will determine the character's destiny, and no one will be spared their fate. None shall escape the destiny of bone. Last time on Legend of the Bones. Drawn by Lamorna to an ancient bathhouse of Valerian design, Valen and Edith found the mage bathing in a pool formed from a natural hot spring, the Eye of Slethra about her neck. There, she tested the mages, inviting them to join her in the water, to see whether they had the strength to resist the luring power of the Hellstone. Its pull was seductive, and though tempted, both Valen and Edith managed to resist. Satisfied, Lamorna used an enchanted ring to temporarily quell the Hellstone's power. Later, in the quiet courtyard, Lamorna explained that she had escaped the agents of the Brethren of the Purifying Light, but that her apprentice had been captured. Like Demelza, she had planned to journey to Penmelkine to destroy the Hellstone in the Rift. However, Lamorna had sensed Demelza's death, and described how the Eye of Slethra had reacted violently to the destruction of the Eye of Krevik. With the rift closed, Lamorna sought an alternative way to destroy her Hellstone. She knew the companions planned to travel to Inis Maitan, seeking the blade wielded by the hero Derwin, but revealed that buried below his tomb was the Forge of Angoth, a mythical smith upon whose anvil, it was said, anything could be destroyed. And so their paths have aligned. Days later, the companions departed for Inis Maitan with a shared purpose, but not shared company. Fearing exposure to the Eye of Slethra, it was agreed that Lamorna would follow later. But unbeknownst to them all, Reynard of Harburg is hunting her close behind. Their journey led them through Cwsgwrth, the Greenwood, ancient and watchful. On the second day, while foraging, the companions startled a herd of red deer. As Talion loosed an arrow, the great stag at their head shattered it mid-flight with his bellow. Then, as the companions looked on in astonishment, the stag changed. The creature rose, reshaping into an antlered man-like creature, which Talion knew at once. Idin Kodiok, the Horned Man, the Guardian of the Forest. But now we shall go back 4 days, and return to Canute, as he and Einar face a deadly threat. Chapter 76, Part 1, Day 66, Afternoon. Party status: Canute, 48 out of 48 hit points. Einar, 49 out of 58 hit points. The wind whipped around the craggy bluff, tangling the Northman's hair into wild knots, and forcing a fine spray from the waterfall as it cascaded over the jagged rocks. Behind them lay the wide open vale, stretching out under an azure sky. Rich, green, and deceptively peaceful. Sheep and cattle roamed between the scattered farms and low-roofed hamlets, their distant shapes softened by the haze. The fields rippled in the wind, heavy with oat, barley and rye, bending in great sighing waves like a sea of gold and green. It was good land, fertile, its black soil promising life, harvest, and wealth. Land worth bleeding for. Land worth killing for. Canute knew it. His uncle knew it. So did their enemy. He glanced at Einar. Gone was the easy humour. His uncle's features were now a tight mask of pain. His jaw clenched so hard, the muscles stood out stark beneath the skin. His breath came in shallow, measured pulls. He had been lucky, if such a thing could be called luck. The arrow had struck the shoulder blade, glancing rather than burying deep. It must have burned like fire. But there was not flesh enough for the head to lodge fast. Even so, a dark stain bloomed across his woad-dyed tunic. Their attackers fanned out, in a slow, deliberate arc. 4 men clad in mail, advancing with measured steps. Their shields held firm, their helms and naked blades catching the afternoon sun in harsh, blinding flashes. Canute cursed under his breath, the words snatched away by the wind. He and Einar had ridden for pleasure, not for war. Just a moment of freedom, now turned into a trap. Their leader stepped forward, 1 pace ahead of the rest. He was a dark-haired man, his beard streaked with threads of grey that spoke of years spent in battle rather than peace. He wore a fine helm decorated with engraved brass, the cheek plates obscuring his features, while his sand-polished mail gleamed in the sun. He was no common wolf's head. He was a warlord, or used to be.
Medrawt!
Einar spat the name through clenched teeth, each syllable dragged out through pain and fury. Medrawt moved with the slow, assured stride of a hunter who knew his prey had nowhere left to run. A cruel smile crept across his face, his dark eyes gleaming with cold satisfaction as they lingered on the wounded Jarl, swaying near the cliff's edge. Canute's palms were slick with sweat, his knuckles white as he tightened his grip on the hilt of his sword, waiting for the inevitable attack. Medrawt's lip curled in contempt.
Now you die.
Entering combat. Back in episode 73, the 2 Northmen rode out, Einar wishing to show Canute the land he had been granted, coming finally to the bluff upon which they now stand. In granting land to Einar, the King of Reged dispossessed Medrawt, and in doing so, forged for the Northmen a bitter enemy. Medrawt was not a benevolent lord. He ruled from cruelty and fear, rewarding sycophants and crushing dissent. Most of Einar's new subjects welcomed the shift in power, happy to accept the Northmen in his stead. But not all. A handful, those in Medrawt's inner circle, clung to the old order, hungry to see him restored. One such traitor has been working within Einar's own household. Learning that the Northman was to ride out with only Canute at his side, he slipped away, racing to alert Medrawt of the opportunity for an ambush. Knowing Einar's habits, the dispossessed Wayland warlord and a small band of hardened killers have climbed the bluff to lie in wait. I decided that there would be no reaction roll here. This will be a cold-blooded attempted murder. At the end of episode 73, the ambush was sprung. I allowed the enemy a single surprise missile attack. I rolled this off mic and got a nat 20, resulting in Einar taking a total of 9 damage. I also rolled a dexterity check to see whether the force of the impact would pitch him from the cliff, but he held his footing with an 8. But now, the Northmen face an enemy which outnumbers them 2 to 1. Medrawt's 3 companions are second-level fighters with 12 hit points. Their mail armour and shields give them an ascending armour class of 15. Each carries a sword dealing 1d8 points of damage. Meanwhile, Medrawt himself is an 8th level fighter with 43 hit points. He too wears mail and carries a shield, and with his level bonus, has an ascending armor class of 17. He gets a +7 to attack, and wields the sword, dealing 1d8 points of damage. Critically, both Einar and Canute are completely unarmored, meaning that their ascending armor class is 15 and 13 respectively, taking into account level and dexterity bonuses. Neither will also benefit from the +1 attack usually afforded by their hand weapon and shield combat specialism. Finally, Einar wields a rune sword, Helleverk, which confers a +2 damage bonus. Right then, let's get to it. Round 1. Initiative. The enemy. A 5. The Northman. A 3. Medrawt charges at Einar. He will need an 8 to hit. He rolls it exactly for 9 points of damage. His blade flashes in a savage cut. It bites into Einar's thigh, opening flesh in a spray of blood. One of Medrawt's men surges in beside him, blade hacking downwards. He will need a 15 to hit. But with a 14, Einar twists, pain slowing him, but not enough as the blade whistles past. The other two descend on Canute. They will both need 13s or more to hit. With a 3 and a 6, Canute kicks a spray of dirt into one man's eyes, and pivots aside from the other, his boots grinding against the gravel. Einar answers the initial attack. Through gritted teeth, he swings Helleverk. The Jarl will need a 10 or more to hit. A 14 for 11 points of damage. The rune blade arcs past Medrawt's shield, smashing through mail and biting into his shoulder. Canute also strikes back. A 1! A critical fumble! His boot slips on loose gravel. His strike falters. He crashes to the floor. The breath driven from his lungs. Canute will lose his next turn. A brutal opening. Einar has already lost 17 hit points, and Canute is down and vulnerable. Let's hope the dice are more forgiving as we enter Round 2. Initiative. The enemy. A 4. The Northman. A 1. Medrawt recovers first, pressing forward relentlessly, fueled by hate. A 9 is a hit for 5 points of damage. His sword thrusts forward like a spear. Steel finds flesh, slicing open the side of Einar's abdomen. The Northman grunts in pain as red blooms across torn cloth. The other man comes in also, his sword hurtling towards Einar's head. But with a 7, the Jarl ducks, the blade hissing over his head. With Canute down, his attackers seize their chance. A 15 and a 5 for 6 points of damage. The man blinded by the dirt in his eyes can only swing wildly, but the other drives his blade down into the Northman's back. Steel scrapes against his shoulder blade. Canute screams in agony. Bleeding from many wounds, Einar lashes out at Medrawt. But with a 3, the Wayland Warlord easily blocks with his shield. Things are going from bad to worse for the two Northmen as we enter Round 3. Initiative. The enemy. A 3. The Northman. Oh man, a 1. Medrawt smells blood. He spits a curse and strikes. An 18 is hit for just 2 points of damage. His blade slices across Einar's forearm, carving flesh. Medrawt's ally also attacks. But with a 13, Einar steps to the side and the blade cuts nothing but air. Canute rolls onto his feet just as the next blows come. Nat 20! And a 9, for a total of 11 points of damage. The man who stabbed Canute on the floor was not expecting the Northman to rise. He misses the opportunity, but the other, having brushed the dirt from his eyes, strikes down hard. His blade slams into Canute's left shoulder. There is a spray of blood and a crack as the Northman's collarbone snaps under the force. Einar sees Canute in trouble. His resolve hardens. If he can kill Medrawt, the others may flee. He swings his blade at Medrawt's head. A 17 is a hit for 10 points of damage. Helverk slams into the side of the Wayland's helmet, crushing the metal into flesh and shredding his face. Medrawt is momentarily stunned as blood pours down his face and neck, and he staggers. Canute, down on one knee, lashes out at the legs of the man who just struck him. An 18 is hit for a total of 8 points of damage. The blade hacks into the man's calf, splintering bone. The man screams as his leg collapses beneath him. Round 4. This could really go either way. Initiative. The enemy. A 5. The Northman. A 3. Einar and Canute have yet to win an initiative. There is a brief pause as both sides catch their ragged breaths, blood dripping onto stone. Einar and Canute are badly wounded, but so is Medrawt and one of his men. Medrawt tears off his ruined helmet, casting it aside. The side of his face is a butcher's ruin, an ear half gone. He spits out blood and sneers.
I'm gonna cut off your balls and stuff them in your mouth, you scarnate bastard.
He charges forward. But with a 7, the brief respite has been enough for Einar to recover his strength. With a deft hand, he turns Medrawt's sword aside with his own. The second man lunges. But with a 3, he is forced to dodge lest he be struck by Medrawt's deflected blade. 1, limping badly, Canute's foes attack together. A 12 and a 13 for 3 points of damage. The Northman fends off one blow with his own blade, but the other slices his thigh. With Medrawt's defences open, Einar counters, swinging Helverk in a backhanded strike. A 15 is a hit for 6 points of damage. The rune blade rips across the Wayland warlord's chest, splitting rings and flesh alike in a mist of blood. Canute targets the man with the wounded leg. A 19 is a hit for a total of 5 points of damage. That's enough. Knocking the shield aside, Canute's sword flashes in the sun as he strikes. The tip of the blade takes the man's throat. Blood sprays hot across the Northman's face. The body falls. The Skarne have claimed the first kill. Time to recap on hit points. Einar, 33 out of 58. Canute, 20 out of 40. Medrawt, 16 out of 40. The warrior on Einar, 12 out of 12. The remaining warrior on Canute, 12 out of 12. This is now a battle of attrition, but who will be victorious? Let's find out as we enter round 5. Initiative, the enemy. A 2, the Northmen. A 5, yes, their first initiative win. Canute's kill causes Medrawt and his men to hesitate. Einar does not waste the opportunity. He strikes again. A 15 is hit for a total of 6 points of damage. Still recoiling from the Northman's last blow, Medrawt staggers. Einar drives Helverk forward, stabbing the Wayland man in the shoulder. Emboldened by the kill, Canute turns on the other man. An 11 is hit for a total of 7 points of damage. The Northman hacks down with his blade. It slams into the man's mailed shoulder. The rings hold, but there is a sickening crunch as bone fractures. With one of their number killed, Medrawt and his men are forced to make a morale check. I will make individual rolls. A 6, a 7, and a 5. They will fight to the death. Medrawt attacks back. A 4. Weakened by his injuries, his swing has no power, and Einar easily avoids the strike. The other man attacks also. A 15 is a hit for 6 points of damage as his blade slashes Einar's thigh. The Northman staggers, crying out, but he must fight on. Canute's adversary tries to avenge his fallen comrade. A 19 is a hit for 4 points of damage. Canute grunts in pain as the blade slices his waist. Round 6. Initiative. The enemy. A 2. The Northman. A 4. Some lucky rolls here could tip the balance. With Medrawt weakened and on the back foot, Einar attacks. An 18 is hit for a total of 5 points of damage. He slashes downwards. Rings split under Halverk's enchanted edge. Medrawt screams as his chest is ripped open, blood spraying forth. Canute's foe is badly wounded. The Northman attacks. A 14 is a hit. He only needs 4 damage to kill the man. A 3. He stabs forward. Mail rings part as his blade slices into the man's stomach. The man screams, coughing up blood. Having taken a tirade of blows from Einar, Medrawt counters. A 1! A critical fumble! The Wayland warlord brings his sword down in an overhead strike. Einar deftly dodges to one side, then pushes Medrawt, causing the Wayland to lose his footing. He falls, sprawled on the ground. Medrawt will miss his next turn. The other man rushes in to attack Einar, but with a 5, Medrawt's prone body blocks his opportunity. Canute's enemy, still impaled on the Northman's blade, lashes out with his own. A 13 is just enough to hit for 7 points of damage. His sword hacks down once more onto Canute's already wounded shoulder. The Northman cries out, staggering back and withdrawing his blade. Round 7. Initiative. The enemy. A 5. The Northman. A 1. The man on Einar maneuvers to attack. A 4. He comes in with a wide swing, but Einar is faster. And he shoves the man aside before he can land the blow. Despite being at the brink of death, Canute's enemy somehow finds the strength for another attack. A 14 is a hit for... Oof! 8 points of damage! This is bad! The blade rakes down Canute's chest, breaking ribs and splitting flesh in a shower of blood. The Northman screams, collapsing to his knees. Einar sees Canute go down. He knows he must finish his enemies fast if his nephew is to live. Medrawt is on his knees. Einar swings Halverk, but will attempt to subdue. He wants Medrawt alive, for now. An 11 is hit for a total of 8 subduing damage. That's enough. The flat of his blade smashes into Medrawt's skull. The Wayland man collapses, unconscious. Canute, bleeding from many wounds, his breath ragged, knows he has but one chance, else he will join his father in Valhall. His hand tightens about the hilt of his sword, and bellowing a great roar of defiance, he thrusts the blade upwards at his enemy. A 16! No need to roll damage. Canute's blade stabs into the man's groin, cleaving his genitals and severing the main artery. Blood erupts. The man falls, making a strangled mewling sound as he bleeds out on the ground. The toll of Canute's wounds overcome the Northman, and he collapses in exhaustion. It is now between Einar and the final enemy. Round 8. Initiative. The enemy. A 1. Einar. A 2. Seeing his lord subdued and his other 2 comrades killed, the man hesitates for a heartbeat. Einar does not. He closes in. A 19 is a hit for a total of 8 points of damage. Halverk slams into the man's mailed shoulder, splitting rings and biting into flesh. He screams, his feet faltering. Einar closes in for the kill, but the man sweeps his own blade up in a wild arc. Nat 20! For a total of 11 points of damage. The sword slashes across the Northman's chest, carving a long, vicious wound. Einar cries out, reeling from the blow, his heels dangerously close to the cliff's edge. Einar is down to 18 hit points, while his enemy has just 4. With luck, the Northman can finish this fight soon, but when it's in the hands of the dice, anything can still happen. Let's find out as we enter Round 9. Initiative. The enemy. A 3. Einar. A 2. The man's not done yet. Having sent Einar reeling, he presses the advantage. A 16 is hit for 2 points of damage. The man yells, charging forward. He brings his sword down in an overhead strike. Einar dodges to the side at the last moment, but the blade slices across his calf. Ignoring the pain, Einar turns. An 8 is hit for a total of 10 points of damage. The man is overextended, leaning forward with the momentum of his attack. Einar brings Halvok down. The blade cleaves to the back of his neck, muscle, sinew and spine. The head separates in an eruption of blood. Einar drops to his knees. The world tilts. Blood runs freely. Adrenaline ebbs, replaced only with pain. The battle is over. Thank you for listening to Legend of the Bones. I hope you've enjoyed the show. If you like what you've heard, then please consider rating and reviewing the show in your podcatcher of choice. Not only do I love seeing the feedback, but it really does help the show to reach new listeners. As always, where would I be without my amazing cast of voice talent? Returning to the show, playing the role of Medrawt, is Steve Brute. Steve is an avid solo roleplayer. You can follow his adventures on his various socials under the moniker Cup of Solo. Also returning to the show, playing the role of Einar, is J. Brandon Payne. Brandon is a professional voice actor and musician who has graciously agreed to appear on the show. Finally, in his usual role of Canute, is my comrade in arms, John Cohen, creator of Tale of the Manticore. My sincere thanks to Steve, Brandon and John. I'll put these wonderful folks' links in the show notes. You could also help by liking or reposting new episode announcements, or by recommending the show online or to a friend. You really can't beat the power of word of mouth. Alternatively, if you would like to show your appreciation by buying me a metaphorical cup of tea, then I have a Ko-fi page at ko-fi.com/Legend of the Bones. Any donations will go towards the show's running costs. While I'm here, I'd like to remind you about the Solo Roleplayers Network. We are a group of like-minded creators, bringing you a curated list of the very best solo roleplay podcasts. So why not head over to soloroleplayersnetwork.com and discover something new. Finally, I would love to know what you think of the show, and I do respond to every message I receive. So with that in mind, you can contact me on X at LegendBones, Blue Sky at LegendBones, Mastodon at LegendBones at ttrpg-hangout.social, Instagram at LegendOfTheBones, email at legendofthebones@gmail.com, or go to legendofthebones.blogspot.com for show notes, house rules, character profiles, art, maps and more. Join me next time to find out what awaits our adventurers as the bones decide their fate. None shall escape the destiny of Bone.
Hi, I'm John from Tale of the Manticore.
Robin from Stories from the First Watch.
PJ from A Wasteland Story and the Solo Roleplayers podcast.
Simon from Legend of the Bones.
Brian Rideout from Swords Against Madness.
Carl from The Lone Adventurer.
And I'm Trevor from Your Story Will Be Different.
And with our solo role-playing audio,
Narrative,
Actual play,
drama powers combined,
We are the Solo Roleplayers podcast network.
Usually accustomed to delving the depths,
Scouring the desert.
Surviving the wasteland,
or facing the dragon alone.
this time we have teamed up to bring you a curated collection
of the best,
highest quality,
Most dramatic.
And diciest.
solo roleplay podcasts in the world.
There are dozens of us.
So if you're looking for your next solo role-playing adventure,
Roll over to soloroleplayersnetwork.com.
Sample and subscribe to something that takes your fancy.
And discover your new favourite solo role-playing podcast.
See you there.